1 year on Ants and the Colonialist, and so much has changed. 50 episodes, 2 new series including the Ants Davy series and Planet Ants, brand new logo, 549 colony members. Thank you all for all your support, and so many more projects planned for 2021. I started the channel 1 year ago today on the 2nd of January. However, it took me a couple of months to actually release my first ever episode. Of all the species that we keep within my collection, it turns out Mesobarbarus are actually the most popular species. Their videos have been watched more than any other. To be honest, I'm not surprised, because this is one of the most popular species kept within the UK and Europe. Although they're tricky to found, once established, they're actually a really easy species to keep, and compared to the other species that I keep, they give me no trouble at all. I even keep them in an open outworld, and they've never escaped. I covered this species quite early on when I started my channel, and I haven't really done many more updates on them, quite simply because there hasn't been much to update on. They grow at a nice steady pace, the colony is getting quite large now. I've added a brand new formicarium to their setup, and I've also redecorated their outworld, simply because I felt they might be getting bored of their old one, as it was a bit plain and outdated. I only made these changes quite recently, so I haven't actually managed to release the episode on the Meswars themselves. Instead, I thought I would include it into my 1 year special. If you've been with the channel since the beginning, or you've watched some of my older vids, then you know I never would have started exotic keeping without keeping this colony of Mesobarbarus. So they started off the entire journey that we've taken together over this first year. The very first species that I covered on the channel was Camponotus Japonicus, a large species of carpenter ant from Japan. I got my first colony from Ants HQ, and I got my second colony from Ants Davy. This species is very slow growing. Not much changed with the colonies up until recently. One colony went into a natural setup with a cork bark insert, and I never see them. They're in there, they forage, but they're rarely seen. However, the other colony has just grown large enough to go into their first setup, and it's a Tar Heel Ants setup. I just thought I'd try it out to see how they get on. So far, all good, but I won't do too many spoilers. Next saw the colony that has really tested my skills as an ant keeper. It's my leafcutter ants, Acromyrmex octospinosus. Through the trials, tribulations, and incredibly hot summer, a year on, I'm not actually doing too badly, and the colony is thriving. It's an exciting year ahead for the colony if everything goes to plan. I plan to get a brand new glass aquarium style setup for them, which I'll attach up to the LC pods, and I'll use the pods as sort of external foraging pods where I'll pipe the colony around the house, and if all goes to plan, I should be filming that for you, so there's lots more in store with this colony. One of my personal favourite colonies to keep are the Polyacus dives. They have been absolutely awesome all year. However, 2020 claimed another victim. There used to be 2 colonies, and now sadly there's only 1. My job takes me away from home 2 weeks of the month, and when I returned, I noticed a big difference with one of the colonies. I noticed all the elder generations had died off, and all the new workers out foraging looked quite malnourished, which meant they hadn't been cared for properly through their larval stage. I climbed up and started inspecting their pods, initially just doing some gentle maintenance in case the colony was hiding out and I didn't realise. I picked up the log that they had started building a nest in, and it was empty. Well, there was larvae and pupae and a few of these malnourished workers, but usually this is cram-packed full of workers, and if you pick it up they'll all come swarming out, so I was quite shocked. And then when I looked down on the ground, I found the queen's body. She had been decapitated, so I presumed she had been killed by the workers in some form of revolt. Polyacus live in a chaotic and violent society, and I believe the queen fell victim to this. This isn't where the story ends. I decided to take a gamble. I knew that there's a high percentage chance that these colonies are related. They've always been next to each other and known each other's pheromone scents. Without a queen, the colony was doomed. I knew this was going to be the best chance for these malnourished workers and the brood that had been left behind, so I decided to hook them up, and all went well. They accepted most of the workers, none of them put up much of a fight, and they all just became part of the same colony. The demise of one queen and a massive territory rise for another. This change in dynamic has actually created some fascinating results. Immediately, the new workers from the old colony have joined this colony and started building. The colony now is on a mass expanse of their nesting pod. Before I left for another 2 weeks at work, I filmed this chamber being built by all the workers using larvae to weave the silk. They've even stuck the silk against the acrylic to shade it out from the light. 2 weeks on, I arrived home to find that they have weaved a huge nest. They've even had to mine down into the substrate layers to find materials to keep on building more walls to be able to create a larger nest. Judging by the amount of larvae and pupae that I can see within the chambers, I'd say it's definitely a guarantee that they rescued all the brood that was left over in the other nest. And that's fantastic to see, because it's a whole new generation that has been saved by this colony merge. It was a last ditch attempt, and I'm so glad that it worked out, but please don't try to do a colony merge if the queens are still alive. It's very unlikely to happen unless they're a related colony. Even then, they can often fight, as they live in, as I said before, a very violent and chaotic society. This is one of my very underfeatured colonies, my Camponotus Nicobarensis. I actually got them at the same time as I got the Camponotus Japonicus from AntCast. When I got the colony, I moved them into a cheap Chinese manufactured acrylic nest that I purchased from eBay. The colony is booming, and no matter what options they've been given, they've never wanted to move outside of their Chinese manufactured acrylic nest. However, I did move some of the colony into this 3D printed nest, and unfortunately I had some issues with it, which I'll go into on an episode, because I want to speak to Ants UK, and then I'll let you guys know what the fix is, just to have it done, and I hope that he'll be able to improve the solution through the manufacturing, which I'm pretty sure he will. He's a stand-up guy. Unfortunately, I lost half the colony in numbers, but looking at the amount of brood I got here, they will recover and explode in no time, so have no fear about that. Other colony that's always exploded in numbers, the Karabarra of Finnis. Now, I don't know if you remember their introduction to the channel, but it was absolutely awful. They had a terrible infestation from phoretic mites. However, that did not stop this absolute powerhouse and beast of a colony. Out of all the colonies that I keep, this is definitely one to watch, because they are literally non-stop chaos. Thankfully, introducing the Hypoaspis miles predatory mites solved the issue of the phoretic mites, and they're now all completely cured of this problem. However, there is a new problem that's arisen. This is how their pods used to be, and this is how their pods are now. Not only are they very difficult to do maintenance with, they make it absolutely impossible for you to get into their pods. However, have no fear. These guys are due a massive upgrade soon, and I'll be doing an episode on that very shortly. Another absolutely amazing species to join the channel is the Raitido Panera Metallica, which, yes, the competition is still running, so have no fear. As soon as I get hold of this HDMI cable, I promise you I will announce the live draw and stream it for you all. The ants are strong within this one, Mandalorian. This is the way. If you're within the UK and Europe and a few other selected destinations, this means you've still got a chance to get involved. Link is in the description. For those of you who have got involved, thank you so much for your patience. Bear with me, one person, it will all be worth it for them. And for those who don't, get involved next time, because you've always got a chance of winning the next competition. 2021 will see the rise of the Solenopsis on the channel. They've already had a couple of upgrades, but they're awaiting their introduction episode. A lot has changed since I filmed this, but I don't want to spoil it for you. Alongside this colony, I purchased the Anoplolepis gracilipus, aka the crazy ants from the ant lady, and there's been massive changes to this colony as well, but again, I don't want to drop any spoilers. In despite of all the insanity that has occurred over 2020, for this channel it's actually been quite a brilliant year. Yes, I have suffered a few colony losses, and many of them still pain me today to be losing those amazing creatures that I tried to keep, but you can't win them all, and that is the sad fact of the ant keeping hobby. You have to be prepared for colony losses, because it is going to happen. No matter how perfect you have their environment, no matter how well set up it is, you never know. You can just lose a queen or a colony in the blink of an eye and not know why. This year we have celebrated and overcome some immense challenges through the hobby of ant keeping, from phoretic mites that were plaguing the colony to other tiny little challenges that you have to overcome just to keep the colonies alive, making sure they have the right environment, the right care guide, the right information out there so that you guys can be successful with your colonies too. This is why you should definitely join us for the Colonial AntCast. Maybe watching isn't always your thing, but there you can listen to us on a podcast. It will be myself with Ants Hood, My Living World Ants, and Ants Holleufer hosting the podcast, talking about various topics across the hobby of ant keeping, hints, tips, reviews, any kind of thing that we can come across, and the latest news on Formicidae. So join us there, definitely don't miss out on that one. I'll put all the links in the description. You've got Spotify and Anchor FM at the moment. I'd just like to say a special thank you to all the retailers who have helped provide giveaways and competitions for the community that support this channel. That's been amazing, and one of the biggest evolutions going on, from the design I created on the phone and the app to what an amateur created for me and to what was created by a professional. This logo is absolutely the bee's knees. Thank you so much. All the links are in the description if you would like to hire his services for your own logo, so check him out because he's absolutely awesome. It's been an incredible first year, and I'm even more excited for what's to come in 2021. So stick with us and join us for the rest of the episodes that are soon to come, and I'll catch you next time. This is the Colonialist, signing out.